Hello, I'm Frankie, and today I'm going to do a book review of The Scarecrows by Robert Westall. And this guy's won a Carnegie Award. I don't necessarily always agree with, but you know, that's a good sign. And it's sort of a thriller, a teen thriller. Like, this main character clearly has issues, main character Simon, but at the same time, there may be something supernatural going on. We're never quite sure. That's one of the book's strengths. It's basically about this boy. He goes to a boarding school, and like it's about him getting to know his mum's boyfriend, who later becomes his stepdad, who he really does not get on with. And he comes across this mill, this derelict old mill, very old mill, and he learns about the mill's history and that it may in fact be haunted. But we're really left to wonder about these things. Like, is this just how he feels about this place? And so it's pretty good. I can see why some people wouldn't like it. The main character is very flawed and complex, and some of the stuff he says and does is very cruel. This book was written like in the 1981. That's when it was published, anyway. I mean, this kid has this 1940s attitude. Sometimes he says stuff like, "That's not how mothers are supposed to look," when she's wearing a somewhat short skirt. But some of the other characters are good. There are some very likeable ones. A couple of very likeable characters who I dare say let the book down by not quite being it enough. But his younger sister, can't remember what she's called now, but she is a very well-written child character. I think the best thing about this book is just the descriptive writing. Like, there's this great sense of atmosphere, and the way it can just zoom in and zooms out. Like, it will describe the turnip field and the sun rising, and it makes it really interesting. And then it zooms in on like how a cobweb is structured on a hedge, and then zooms in on how the droplets of water line up on the cobweb, and zooms in on how the sun shines through the droplets of water, and it does it relatively concisely. That sounds like it would take for ages, but he does it briefly, and it sounds wonderful. And the way it describes this old mill is fantastic as well. Although the writing's very good, there is sometimes a really weird dialogue. Like, his mother says like something about his much younger sister, who is like 9. It's actually a bit unclear how old his sister is supposed to be. That could be a problem with the book, actually. But his mother says like, it's weird how they can be sexy at that age. Like, what? This is really creepy. You do not describe your own really small daughter as sexy. That's just wrong. I don't know what he was trying to do there, or what his mum is actually trying to say. But some of these conversations are very interesting. There's good dialogue as well. That's another strength. But some of the stuff that's written down, like the character's thought process, is a bit weird. Like it says here, it's talking about this really mean bully who thinks he's funny but is not. It says, right, Bowden was spawned out of the computer who'd been raped by a rattlesnake. I'm going to say that again. Bowden was spawned out of the computer who'd been raped by a rattlesnake. Under what circumstances would that happen? Why would you... computer rape a snake? Was that a common phrase in the 70s? I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to do there. But, is it padded or anything? There's not much padding. There's one scene that didn't add a lot. Like, Simon is walking through the turnip field to the mill, and this vicar comes along and sees through the hedge, and he's like, "Boy, you must be careful not to disturb any turnip leaves. Those turnip leaves are God's work." Simon's just a crazy old man. I'm like, what was that? He just walks on. I was like, did that add much? That was pointless. And I'm like, it's really... Like, what is it with the old vicar and his obsession with keeping the turnips undisturbed? Like, is that the 11th commandment? Thou shalt not disturb the turnips? But overall, it's a very strange book. Occasionally there's something weird comes along. It's not completely at a strict place, because the writing has this wonderful strangeness about it. And the Scarecrows themselves, who come in later on, quite some way through the story. Again, some people might see this as a problem. This book is probably rather Marmite, but I don't think it has that many haters or anything. It's just not that popular today, anyway. But overall, it's a very. I thought it was a very interesting, rich, well-written book. I mean, give it a read, try it out. You may or may not like it. Well, I'm Frankie Rufolo. Tell me what to review next, and don't disturb any turnips.